Okay, councilors ready?
Yep.
So welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the Oakdale City Council regular meeting, September 8, 2020. Sue, would you call roll, please?
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Olson.
Here.
Councilmember Smithers.
Here.
Councilmember Zabel.
Here.
Mayor Ranky.
Here. Please join me now in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item of business tonight is a public hearing. This is for the Willowbrook Neighborhood Planned Unit Development Preliminary and Final Plat. Part of the public hearing process is we'll have a staff presentation, question and answer from that point. Then I'll open it up to the audience in case there's anybody that would like to comment on this. If there is anybody in the audience who would like to comment on this, please come up and approach the podium, stating your name and address, and then sharing with us your thought or your concern. At the conclusion of that time, when people no longer want to come up, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back up front for final questions, possibly with Emily or amongst ourselves, and then we'll take action. So Emily, thanks for coming tonight. It's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Emily Shisley. I'm the Oakdale City Planner. The items before the Council and for a public hearing this evening are the Willowbrook neighborhood approvals. So this diagram, if it's up on the screen there, this is the location that we're talking about today. Here's 694, right through the middle of town, County Road 14. This is the Forefront Office and Technology Campus, and Ideal Avenue, which is the border between Oakdale and Lake Elmo. The neighborhood is the outcome of a special planning process that the city undertook when circumstances changed around the previously planned land use for the area. This is called a small area planning process, and it's used to gather important information in order to consider a change, in this case, from a multi-use industrial park to a new residential neighborhood. I'm going to use this diagram to show how the city worked through that process to arrive at this point today. This is a land use discretion pyramid, and starting at the bottom of the pyramid are where we set goals and policies, and then that gets reflected in the city's comprehensive plan. And as we go up in the steps of the pyramid, there's less discretion because the policies have already been set. The standards that reflect those policies are put in place, and then we review the applications to make sure that they meet all of those standards. So the discretion sort of narrows as we get towards the top because that's implementing all of those goals and policies. So the first step was to create a small area plan that would become part of the comprehensive plan, this base here. So the city undertook that. And this plan established the goals and the vision and the policies for the new land use, like I was talking about, going from that industrial to the residential. The small area plan describes the history of the site, the planning process that resulted in this concept plan, and specifically for land use, circulation, and parks and open space. This phase has already been completed. So this small area plan is part of the city's 2040 comprehensive plan. There's the land use, circulation, parks, and open space. The second step, so this part has been completed. The second step is to create an ordinance that includes design standards that reflect the vision and goals in the comprehensive plan and regulate the physical development of the new neighborhood. And this ensures that the plan is implemented as the council intended. Following that, then, we apply those standards to this specific property. That's a zoning map amendment. So on the top there, the existing zoning, and at the bottom, we're just rezoning that entire site, applying those design standards from that zoning ordinance to that particular property. Final steps include subdivision of the property and site plan review. The developer submits plans that meet the standards set forth in the comprehensive plan the zoning ordinance, and the subdivision code. The last one I'll put up here. The result for this area is a brand-new neighborhood. It's designed to have homes in a park with an extensive interconnected park and open space system, a variety of housing types, and a circulation system that calms traffic and provides many ways for bicycles and pedestrians to move throughout the neighborhood safely. So the Planning Commission held a public meeting on Thursday, September 3rd, just last week, and determined that the applications meet the requirements and implement the goals and policies. The Commission unanimously recommended approval of the applications before the Council this evening. And you can note that there are 2 conditions of the detailed development plan and preliminary plat that have already been addressed. So those are no longer needed. Those are conditions 18 and 19 in that resolution. And the removal of those conditions was acknowledged by the Planning Commission in their recommendation for approval. So with that, I'd be happy to address any questions the council may have.
Very good. Thank you, Emily. Councilor, is there anything for Emily tonight?
I have a quick one. With E, F, and G attachments, they're all different.
Pardon, could you say that again?
Pardon me? The attachments that you submitted, E, F, and G, they're different. So we're voting on the final, which is G, correct?
They are actually all the same neighborhood. They just show different things about that neighborhood. So E, that you're just referring to, is this detailed development plan and site plan. So this is exactly the same plan as this. What we've just done is the one on the left kind of colors in the parks and open space to really show the difference between the open space area and the development area. So this black and white one is sometimes a little bit harder to read because it's just a lot of different lines. So the one in attachment G just sort of pops out that park and open space. And then F is similar. So E also shows the trail system through there and the sidewalks, which is an important part of the neighborhood. F is just the lots and blocks and right-of-way. So when it's platted,
Okay.
it'll just be, that's what the legal descriptions are based off of. And then one of the other exhibits that you have is this attachment H, which is the initial subdivision of the site. And this is done to facilitate the transfer of property from the current owner to the builder so that they can begin building different phases of the neighborhood. Yep. So they all kind of layer on top of each other.
Thank you.
Emily, to Susie's question, so between E and F, E and F, and then G, one noticeable difference is the traffic patterns along Ideal Avenue going into this development. Is there a reason the roundabouts aren't noted on attachment G? On Ideal, I mean?
Yeah, good question. Yep, I can show this one. When the developers submitted these plans, it was back in April. So we've been having conversations ongoing with the county about how those intersections will be treated along Ideal. So these plans were submitted prior to the current status, which is now not to have a roundabout at Lake Jane Trail, but to have turn lanes on Ideal. I believe that's our current status with that. So this one simply shows kind of the 4-way intersections or the 3-way intersections.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember the conversation we had. I thought we were still on roundabouts along Ideal.
I thought it was Lake Elmo did not
Yeah.
support.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Emily. It's my understanding
Cost
that,
participation that Lake Elmo would have had to do was significantly higher with the roundabouts. And so the preference from them was to go turn lane, and I think it was a non-event or a non-issue for the county as far as how they wanted to see this thing happen.
And I can note to the council too that there are conditions in these resolutions you're approving tonight that say that the city of Oakdale and the city of Lake Elmo need to approve the final design plans for Ideal. And that's something that is yet to occur. So those are conditions of approval. Kind of recognizes that there is still some conversation going on about that.
So we're not approving that tonight then?
Correct, you're not.
And whatever, and whatever decision we end up at, working with Lake Elmo, there won't be an impact on the property owners along Ideal.
Correct. So we have been working with the county to ensure that sufficient right-of-way for whatever type of intersection treatment is available with this development. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
I think there might be some detail on the, little bit more tree removal under one option, a little bit more right-of-way around the roundabout itself, but to answer your question, the general
For the most part.
is negligible.
Okay.
Councilors, anything else?
I got one more, I think,
Okay, Susan.
although I can't find the page now. With the multifamily units, someplace in our information, it had stated about the height as NA. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. So there are 3 areas in the neighborhood that can have higher density multifamily housing. So in the southeast corner, and then these 2 areas on the west side of the development near 694 on either side of 40th Street. So what's shown on this plan right now is just conceptual. We're not approving the building layout or the parking layout for any of those 3 areas tonight. That's going to come at a future phase. So, but in that comprehensive plan and those goals and policies, the council set a density for the land use as 35 to 55 dwelling units an acre. So allowing the heights and flexibility, we may end up with fewer buildings with maybe 4 stories, or maybe more buildings with 3 stories. So there's sort of that flexibility for when those plans move forward, as long as we meet that density that the city council set for that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilors, is there anything else?
I have
Before I
one
open it up,
I have one more question.
Kevin.
And we've likely talked about this, I'm sorry, I'm just not remembering. Is there a reason that the pipeline easement to the east is being left fully clear, but the one that's running, I believe, under Helmo has partial road construction on it?
So it comes down to the fact that they're owned by 2 different companies, and they're 2 slightly different utilities.
Oh.
So the utility that runs diagonally through the northeast portion of the site, that utility company was very clear that they didn't want roads built on top of their easement. They've even asked that we avoid trails in that easement. However, we can still incorporate it into the park and open space system. And so it's, still something that's part of the neighborhood that people can enjoy. The one that runs north-south, they were fine with having road infrastructure there. They did say no street trees in that area. So you can see on this illustrative plan that trees are kind of clustered outside of that easement, but not specified within that easement area. So it's been taken into consideration, sort of what each one is comfortable with.
Thank you.
Good question. Anything else, councilors? Before I open it up, we'll have another chance to talk once we might hear some comments from the public. Okay, thank you, Emily. I'm now going to open it up to the public for comment. If there's anybody in the audience who would like to comment on any aspect of this project, please come forward, state your name and address, and then share your thoughts with us. Typically, how these things run is that it's about 3 minutes is the time frame, and then we'll take it from there. So is anybody in the audience that would like to comment on this project tonight? I'm going to invite, I see the developer from Maplewood Development. Mario, you're here, and also as the master developer, and also the developer of the single-family homes. If you'd like to comment, I'd invite you up now or just take a pass. We can't have you drive all the way out here and not
Yeah,
say something to us.
thank you. My name is Mario Cucciarella. I'm with Maplewood Development Company. We're at 1128 Harmon Place, Minneapolis. It might be good just to talk a minute about the outlot plat and just to understand. So would you mind bringing that up, Emily, just so we can see that? I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that as each of the phases of the actual platting occur, those will come back before you to plat over the outlot areas. So the first one likely to come forward is outlot A. There's no magic to the sequence that the lettering is really done by the county surveyor. But outlot A will likely be the first one to come back, and that will be the townhome site. I've gotten a lot of questions about, the multifamily components of it, so I thought I would answer that. We've gotten a lot of interest, there's no question about that. That gets to be a little bit more complicated, just because we really don't have anything to develop right now. We've got to grade the site and really prep the areas. The first one that'll be done will be Outlot G. My eyes aren't so good, but I think it's E and F on the west there. Is that correct, E? Those areas need to be cut. They're way too high right now, so we plan to use some of the dirt in the rest of the site. But once those are done, then we really have something that's prepared, for the rest of the site. And probably the biggest component of this will be the restructuring of 40th Street, as you know. That'll be done more likely in phases, and I do think that's something we'll be working with staff to determine what do we do with the existing 40th. We plan to leave it intact so people can traverse the site, but at some point, it may be that we'll have to shut down 40th. We'll see how that goes in the future. So those were some of the questions that I had before. I don't know if there was anything else, but I'm certainly available to answer those.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Just a
Okay.
quick question, Mario. So assuming we approve tonight, when are we going to start seeing activity as far as grading and moving dirt?
Well, as many of you may or may not know, I also own Bel Air Excavation, and we certainly would like to be one of the suitors for Lennar to grade the site, but this is in their court right now. It's pretty late in the year to get going. I think I'll let defer to Joe Jablonski here from Lennar tonight. They may get started this year. We'd like to think they will. We understand they're out there for bid. We know that much. We'll see how it goes from there. Didn't help to go from 94 to 46 degrees in a weekend.
Yes,
But,
right.
we certainly like to think that the weather will hold a little bit better. from that
Sure.
point on, so.
Thank you, Mr. Cucurella. Mr. Lubansky from Lennar, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, member of the council. My name is Joe Jablonski with Lennar, 16305 36th Avenue Northeast in Plymouth, Suite 600. And I just want to come up here. I know Mario has really laid the groundwork for this and has been working on this for a long time. And we just want to let the council know we're really excited to be part of it. We think it's going to be a really great project. It's unique, it's different, the location is fantastic, and we are anxious to get going. We have some permits and some things yet to clear, but we would like to get going yet this fall, given the time of the year and that. We're hoping the weather holds out so that we can kind of get started and get as much done yet this year as we can, and we're anxiously awaiting getting going. And we're already generating an interest list as well, like Mario, for the multifamily sites, for our first phases and the community. So I know there's a big interest out there in the marketplace. So we're really excited, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have as well.
Councilors, anything?
Thank you.
Just a comment that
Yes.
for both of you, we are thrilled about the project. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Tremendous amount of planning, some of it arduous that you guys know well, the detailedness that we've gone through. We appreciate the willingness that you both have shown to work with us and to create this development that's going to be just, like you say, unique and beautiful and just a jewel in our city. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience want to make a comment? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it up to the front again. Councilors, is there anything that you'd like to ask Emily, or any final comments? So then we have 4 motions in front of us. I think we take them one at a time. So the first one, can I have a motion for that first action?
I'll make a motion to waive reading, and adopt ordinance number XXX, amending Chapter 25 zoning, Article 16, to add the Willowbrook Planned Unit Development District and design standards, and approve summary publication of ordinance, amending Chapter 25 zoning, Article 16, to add Willowbrook Planned Unit Development District and design standards.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further conversation? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion passes as presented. Could I have a motion for the second action?
I'll make a motion to waive reading and adopt ordinance rezoning the subject property to Willowbrook Planned Unit Development.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any additional conversation? Can I, all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Then that motion passes as presented. Could I have a motion for the third action?
I'll make a motion to waive reading and adopt resolution number 2020 approving the detailed development plan preliminary plat for Willowbrook, subject to conditions.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further conversation?
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify
Oh,
that,
yeah.
we are removing conditions 18 and 19 from this resolution.
Mr. Zabel, would you amend your motion then, please?
I'll make a motion to waive reading and adopt resolution 2020 approving the detailed development plan preliminary plat for Willowbrook, subject to conditions, striking conditions 18 and 19?
And 19.
Okay.
So we have a new motion. Is there
A second.
There's a motion and a second with the amended version. Any further conversation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then that motion passes as amended. And finally, can I have a motion for the fourth action, please?
I'll make a motion to waive reading and adopt resolution number 2020 approving the preliminary and final plat for Willowbrook, subject to conditions.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any conversation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then that motion passes as presented. So thank you, gentlemen, and best
Yeah.
wishes and good luck. Thank you, Emily. Next item on our agenda is approval of a couple of sets of meetings, two sets of meetings, one from the regular meeting, August 10th, and the second from the regular meeting, City Council meeting, August 25th. Upon review of the August 10th meeting minutes, did any counselor see any corrections or want to make any comment? Could I have a motion then, please?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any conversation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And those meeting minutes are approved as presented. The second one deals with the Oakdale City Council meeting on August 25. Upon review, were there any clarifications or corrections? Could I have a motion then, please?
So
So
moved.
moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And those meeting minutes are approved as presented. Thank you. Next up on our agenda is two proclamations. Let me do one first, and I'm going to invite the guests to come up to the podium, please, and I'll present a proclamation certificate to both of you. But the first one deals with, well, let me just read it. So it's the Proclamation, City of Oakdale. So whereas Infants Remembered in Silence, Inc., IRIS, was founded in 1987 to support parents who have experienced the death of a child during pregnancy through early childhood. And whereas the loss of a child is an inconceivable tragedy and a traumatic event that brings pain, suffering, and grief to a family. And whereas in 1988, President Reagan designated October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And whereas each year brave parents remember their children by lighting candles at 7 p.m. on October 15th. And whereas the observance of Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month and Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day helps generate awareness and increase understanding of the tragedy involved in the deaths of unborn and newborn babies, and enables us to consider how we might meet the needs of bereaved parents and family members and work to prevent the causes of these unimaginable and heartbreaking deaths. Therefore, I, Paul Reinke, the mayor of Oakdale, Minnesota, here proclaim October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month in Oakdale, and hereby proclaim October 15th as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Oakdale to be affixed on this 8th day of September 2020. So the next proclamation is in support of the direct support professionals. And tonight we are joined by two individuals to accept this proclamation. Angela Lester and Oshaki Scott both work with the Mainzole Services and support a group home for people with disabilities on 43rd Street here in Oakdale. Angela and Oshaka, let me put this at the podium, and then if you would come up and you're welcome to say a few words or just greet us. So I think I'll read it first. I'll come down and put it on the podium. So whereas the direct service professionals are the primary providers of community-based long-term support services for tens of thousands of individuals with disabilities in Minnesota, and whereas the direct support professionals are valued for their work in building respectful and trusted relationships with individuals to assist them with their most intimate needs, and whereas direct support professionals provide essential support to individuals with disabilities to stay connected to family and friends, co-workers, and the community, helping them to define and live a quality life. And whereas direct service professionals provide a broad range of individual support, including meal preparation, medication assistance, personal care, and life skills training, mobility and work and life enrichment opportunities, and other daily tasks. And whereas direct service professionals support informed choices and person-centered practices that honor and respect the individuals with disabilities they serve. Whereas during COVID-19 outbreak, direct service professionals have played an instrumental role in ensuring safety and maintaining dedicated support and care for those that they serve. And whereas an adequate workforce of high-quality direct service professionals is necessary for the people of Minnesota to respond to the needs of people with disabilities and minimize more costly settings such as hospitals or institutions. And whereas direct service professionals are one of the fastest-growing positions in Minnesota, and the demand for their skills is great, and yet low wages and demographic trends are creating a growing shortage of direct service professionals, leading to increased turnover. And whereas public officials are key advocates in building awareness and addressing the issues facing this publicly funded workforce. Therefore, I, Paul Ranke, the mayor of Oakdale, Minnesota, hereby proclaim September 13th through the 19th as Direct Support Professional Recognition Week. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Oakdale to be affixed on this 8th day of September 2020. So let me put this up there, and then please join me. So you're welcome to come on up, and if you'd like to say a few words, please.
Thank you for inviting us and for honoring DSP Week.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As part of the open forum, anybody that's in the audience that would like to comment on anything that's not on the agenda, you're sure welcome to do so. Again, please come up, state your name and address at the podium, and then share with us your thoughts. Is there anybody here that would like to share any information or concerns with us? Seeing none, I'm going to move to the next item on our agenda, which are the consensus motions. Tonight, we have A through G. And councilors, upon review, are there anything that you would like to talk about or pull?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to remove give me a minute, D and E.
I'd like to remove B.
So B, D, and E are removed. Could I have a motion then on the other ones?
I'll make a motion to approve consensus motions A, C, F, and G as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion on the second. Is there any additional conversation? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then motions A, C, F, and G are passed as presented. Let's take B first. Colleen, was that yours?
Yeah, and not that we can't approve it, but just a couple clarifications. Can we add something about school breaks, that maybe they could have different times than what's allotted here? Because like Christmas shutdown, they have 2 weeks off. The schools might have hockey practice during that time. They've had it in the past. So I was thinking that there would be more times available than what we listed here. And then the other two items that we just, and we may not need to have it in our policy, but we need to work out, how are we going to get the word out and advertise this? And then how are we going to work out warming house for the people? Because they're off hours, we don't have it staffed, so how are they going to use the warming house and get keys and put it back? So these are just things to consider, so.
Let's, I think Chris might be able to comment on some, so
Okay.
thank you,
All
Colleen.
right, thank you.
Chris, would you?
No problem. Mayor, City Council, so a couple things. So we can add I think that's a good point, Councilmember, to add it into the policy that something like, or at other times
Yes.
when Rick may be available due to
Yes.
non-school or something
Yeah,
like that. is what
okay,
you mean.
something like that.
Okay, we'll add that, no problem. The second question about
Get the word out?
get the word out.
Yeah,
And then
I'm sorry.
the warming house, too.
Yeah, the warming house, I was gonna go to the
Yes.
warming house. Okay, so the
Yes,
warming house, we already have a method set up through Parks and Rec, where they call in the people, they give them notice. You'll notice
Yep.
in the policy, they must give us a business day
Yes.
prior, so we don't have to pay the person in case they cancel.
Right.
And I think that's pretty fair, because
Yep.
we still have to endure the costs.
Yep.
And so Julie Williams, Superintendent of Recreation, does have that all worked out,
Yep.
so.
Okay, great.
If you need more information, I'm sure Julie
I
can
can
get
get
you
with Julie
that.
then, that's fine.
Okay, and get the word out. Our website for sure. I think, Alyssa, you're here. You probably have some ideas on we could figure out how to do that, right?
With the other schools.
Yeah, we could put a plan together.
Yes.
In addition, I think the brochure for, we're about to do, we could maybe add it to the newsletter that's going out to residents too. That's about to go out, so that
But
might
I
be, your
think you
timing's
actually
really
might
good.
have to let other school districts know about it, because it's going to be, it could be used more than just our school district.
You want to give priority to our school
Oh,
district,
yeah,
though, don't we?
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely. But,
okay.
I'm just saying, we should make sure we get the word out to other cities and other districts.
Okay. Julie, Alyssa, do you have anything else to add on that?
Yeah, that'd
Thank
be
you.
great. Thanks.
No problem.
Thanks, Colleen, thanks, Chris, and Alyssa and Julie. What I'd like to do, since there's 3 items on here, let's talk about all 3 of them, and if there's consensus about that, then we can just approve them at once.
I don't think there will be on D, so I think we should just go ahead and approve B.
Okay, how about E? That one?
That's more of just a question for staff, so we could possibly lump that one in.
Why don't you go ahead and ask that?
So consensus motion E is allocating the default municipality distribution of funds to Washington County. So this is a question for Chris. Every year, the city of Oakdale budgets money for elections to Washington County. Is this, is it a grant? Here nor there. Is this amount of money that the city is giving up, does that count towards our annual budgeted allocation? Or are we giving the county extra money on top of what we were already going to send them?
You know, Councilmember Zabel, because I'm not an expert yet at those kind of details with the budget, Chelsea Peterson is here. Chelsea, can you address that, please?
So, thank you for that question. It is a grant from the feds to the state to the counties to administer elections. I believe that their intent is to initially use that to offset the absentee ballot process. However, if there are direct costs here that they incur as a direct result of COVID and COVID response, they will apply those funds to us first. So yes, that would offset anything that we would be billed, but this is separate than our regular election contract.
So, Chelsea, correct me if I'm wrong, so the money we budget to Washington County every single year is just our cost share of executing elections,
Correct.
whether it's in this building or not, you know, whether it's the November election and people are using their polling places at churches, correct?
Right.
So-
Our cost share for Oakdale's portion.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So I guess I'm still a little unclear. Is this 10,648 coming off of that total? Or is the county just requesting this money and we still have to pay that full amount?
We're likely still going to have to pay our full amount, right?
So it's additional money?
Yes.
Is the way that I understood it,
Okay.
through the CARES Act
Right,
process
that's
of
what I understood
distribution.
it.
That's a bummer. I was hoping we could save 10 grand.
Yeah. Oh, that's
but-
where you
well-
were going, huh?
I think if it's not spent, doesn't it come back to us? So if the 10 grand isn't spent, can we get the rest back? It might just
No.
be 3
No.
grand.
No,
No,
if
this-
we don't spend it, we have to give it back to them. If they don't spend
Yes.
it, they have to give it back to the state.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Okay.
Money never runs downhill, it runs uphill.
So let's,
B and
Are
E.
you okay?
Yep, I'm good. Yep.
so you can have a motion to approve D and E, please.
Motion to approve consensus motions B and E as presented.
And B
No,
as
no,
amended.
B, we're going to amend it.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, as amended. Yeah, B as
Yes.
amended and E as presented.
Yes,
So B is amended, E is presented. There's a motion. Is there a second?
second.
There's a motion and a second. Any additional conversation? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And those two motions, B and E, are passed. Kevin, talk about,
Yeah,
D.
consensus motion D relates to the Skyview Community Pool Agreement. I will admit, I was very surprised to see this on the consent agenda. Typically, we've reserved the consent agenda for non-controversial decisions, and the last time we had talked about this at the workshop, it was a 3-2 decision, so I was just very surprised to see it go on consent. So the reason I pulled it off was just so the roll call truly reflect, or the vote truly reflects what we had talked about previously. And if any of my council colleagues want to change their mind and join me in my opposition to this agreement, I would certainly welcome that, and we could save that $10,000, $10,300. But I'm not going to
Mr.
hold my
Mayor?
breath.
okay, so,
Mr. Mayor.
yes, Chris.
Thank you, Councilmember Zabel. That's a very good point. We put it on here because the vote was 3-2, thinking it would be, but your point is well taken. We'll be more careful in the future.
Thank you.
With that.
So, Sue, would you call roll on the vote then, please?
We need a motion. Somebody will have to
I'm
make a
sorry.
motion.
Somebody give me a motion then for D.
I'll make a motion to authorize entering into the Skyview Community Pool Management Agreement between the City of Oakdale and ISD 622, effective September 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, in the amount of $10,300.
There's a motion. Is there a second? I'll second that motion. Is there any additional conversation? Okay, now we'll do a roll call vote. Sue?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
And on a 3-2 vote, the motion passes as presented. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is our time with City Attorney, Mr. Thompson. Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, good evening. Mr. Mayor, members of council, nothing specific to report, but happy to answer any questions you have.
Counselor, is there anything for Jim? Well, thank you, Jim. Next up on the agenda is the time with the administrator's report. So Chris, anything you want to?
Mayor, City
Share with us.
Council, no, I don't have anything new to report. I'll take any questions, though.
Counselor, is there anything for Chris? Very good, thank you, Chris. Then we have, the next up on the agenda is our council presentations.
Can I ask a
what-
question?
Sure.
Did we miss city engineer? Or do we just ignore Brian now?
It wasn't on the agenda.
Oh,
We're only
All right,
going to do
Brian,
it
you're
once
off
a month,
duty.
is that
you're off the hook.
accurate?
Yes.
It's kind of crazy.
Mr. Mayor, the council, and I think Brian had a couple things in the workshop today, so we weren't
Yes.
thinking there was anything further for this agenda. He's not on here every single time, but most of the time. So I'm sure if Brian has anything else, he'll jump up, but I
Yeah.
think he's good.
Are you good? Are you good, Brian? Okay.
I was just going to give him some kudos on the Hadley Ave
Oh,
road overlay
yeah,
project, so
Yeah.
very, very glad to see that be wrapped up so quickly, so.
Yeah,
That's appreciated.
yes.
So council presentations. I'll hold off to the end on my 2 items.
Okay.
So if councilors want to share anything that's on their mind or express a concern, please do so. Okay, I've got 2 things. First one is the farmer's market. So each Wednesday afternoon from 2 o'clock till 6 p.m., local vendors fill up the parking lot at City Hall to bring you fresh fruits and vegetables, baked goods, syrup and jam, fresh flowers, and much more. And you'll also find a food truck or 2. So hope to see you there. Again, that's Wednesday from 2 to 6. Second item would be early voting. So county residents wanting to vote early or by absentee ballot may do so starting September 18. Please request a ballot at the Washington County website, co.washington.min.us, or by calling 651-430-6175. That number again, 651-430-6175. You can also pick up a ballot or vote early at Oakdale City Hall, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., starting on the 18th of September.
Through November 2nd. I'll
Through
just add
November
that,
2nd.
yeah.
Yes, right.
With that, did that prompt anybody? Okay. Next up on our agenda are the claims, and there's a recommendation to approve the claims for the period of August 22 through September 4 in the amount of $651,230.41. Upon review, did any counselor have any questions? Could I have a motion then, please?
Make a motion to approve claims as presented.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then that motion passes as presented. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.